Well, welcome back, friends. Another big hour Friday Live on this February 9th, 2024. We hope you're having a happy day and enjoying your day. Blessed day, holy day. Nice outside. I've not been outside all day.
A spring day. I woke up in February and I'm now like cruising through May. It's beautiful. You must get outside.
The sun's going down now.
I know.
I won't see the sun.
Well, tomorrow
got here early. This is a big recording day today. A lot of recording today.
And it's not even First Friday.
No, we weren't here First Friday.
First Friday back?
So I pushed everything back. Actually, it doubled up because Better Together with Emily and Jen is always on the second Saturday. And because we were not here last week, I asked Bill and Jazz if they could push theirs back to the second Saturday.
So you've been right over there all day.
Yeah. So that's what happened when you go away.
I know.
You come back.
There's like
there's a pile of stuff you got to keep doing and trying to catch up.
Yeah, the preparing before you go and then the catch up when you come back. But you know what? It's all worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it's worth it. So this hour, we have, of course, our gospel reading for this coming Sunday, already the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and then that's going to change next week because we have Ash Wednesday on Wednesday. And then later on this hour, Steve Nelson has written a prayer book called the Magdalena Prayer Book. So we'll look forward to talking with Steve about that. But first, we'll have our gospel reading again for this coming Sunday, the 6th Sunday in Ordinary Time. And our reflection today will be by Dr. Scott Hahn.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. A leper came to Jesus and kneeling down begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched him, and said to him, "I do, will it be made clean?" The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then, warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. He said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Leprosy was a terror in the ancient world. Those who had it were ostracized from their community, made to suffer alone or in the company of sick strangers. It became. Find out more next on Breaking the Bread. In ancient Israel, leprosy is depicted as punishment. Leprosy was a terror in the ancient world. Those who had it were ostracized from their community, made to suffer alone or in the company of sick strangers. It became a symbol of sin, that wasting disease that affects the human heart. Jesus' healing of lepers is a sign of hope, a sign of our own healing. Find out more next on Breaking the Bread. In ancient Israel, leprosy is depicted as punishment for disobedience of God's commands, a sign of impurity, just as sin is. Considered unclean, unfit to worship or live with Israel, lepers were considered stillborn, the living dead. Indeed, the requirements imposed on them in this Sunday's first reading, rent garments, shaven head, covered beard, are signs of mourning, death, penance. So there's more to the story in our Sunday's gospel than just another miraculous healing. When Elisha, invoking God's name, healed the leper Naaman, it proved that there was a prophet of God in Israel. This Sunday's healing reveals Jesus as far more than another great prophet. He is God among us, God visiting his people. Only the Lord God can cure leprosy and cleanse us from the interior impurity of sin, and only God has the power to bring about what he wills. The gospel scene has an almost sacramental quality about it. Jesus stretches out his hand as the Lord by his outstretched arm performed mighty deeds to save Israel. His ritual sign is accompanied by a divine word, "Be made clean." And like God's word in creation, "Let there be," Jesus' word does what he commands. The same thing happens when we show ourselves to the priest in the sacrament of reconciliation. On our knees, like humble lepers, we confess our sins and impurities and weaknesses to our Lord, our Father, as we sing in our responsorial psalm this Sunday. And through the outstretched arm and divine words spoken by God through his priest, the Lord takes away the guilt of our sin. Like the leper, we should rejoice in the Lord and with gratitude and humility spread the good news of his mercy. We should testify to our healing by living changed lives. As St. Paul tells us in this Sunday's epistle, we should do even the littlest things for the glory of God and that others may share in the medicine of his mercy. This is Scott Hahn for Breaking the Bread.
Breaking the Bread is a production of the St. Paul Center for Biblical Theology. If you'd like to receive written copies of Dr. Hahn's reflections on the Sunday Mass readings, you can contact us by email at staff@salvationhistory.com or call us at 740-264-9535. That's 740-264-9535.
You wrestle with
All right, welcome back on this lovely February. And I think the sun is setting now. So.
Yeah, it's still lovely.
Still lovely, but it was warm out?
It was gorgeous. It was sunny. And I went for a walk. And, of course, we're here. And while we were gone for the 2 weeks, my walking was in the desert with rocks and sand and mountains and, dusty desert brush and cactuses. So I kind of walked with my eyes closed, picturing that I was walking in the desert. But before long, I walked into a park bench and all this. So I thought, well, I better open my eyes.
You walk out here in our field, you see a coyote every now and then.
I know, that makes
us
feel that
I was roaming the grounds.
I was looking for him.
He's out there somewhere.
They say they don't bother you.
No, they're not aggressive unless they feel
And, of
cornered.
course, I see them all over the trails from a distance. But I think they're so used to, at least out there, they're so used to the people coming and going that they just don't really care. But I've read stories that those people that are walking a dog, they will plot and plan, and from afar, kind of encircle the person with the dog, and they're ready to, come in. So you got to watch when you're walking.
Oh, they want
your
the dog?
Dog, or if you have any other kind of pet. Usually out on the trails, you see people walking dogs. But I'm sure if there was a cat or a bird or something, the coyote would find itself lunch.
I don't know what our coyote here eats. I see the deer out there, but I think the deer might beat them up. Deer is bigger than the coyote.
Yeah, but they're swift and they got pretty good teeth.
Yeah, but the deers they're in a herd. Wouldn't they protect their owner? I don't know. But I guess there are other varmints out there like rabbits.
What surprises me is that we're right smack dab in the middle of a community housing, a neighborhood.
Yeah, but remember last summer I saw a coyote walking down our street.
No.
I mean, and we live in the normal middle class
neighborhood,
and we're not out in the field somewhere.
No woods, no forest, no.
Just walking down. It was a coyote. At first I thought it was a fox. It was too big for a fox, and it wasn't a dog.
They're getting a little brave, aren't they?
Well, I don't know. And then you look them up, and there are coyotes all over the place now. So they're overpopulating somehow.
And I thought more so they were nocturnal, but maybe not. I mean, this one suns himself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not for us to know.
Kind of make you feel at home. That's all. Back in the desert Southwest.
So does it feel good to be back behind the desk?
Doesn't it take getting used to where everything is again, and you got to reorient yourself?
I had a funeral this morning, and I got up and I thought, well, what do I have to bring, and what am I doing? Where am I going? I got to church, and I got to remember to turn on the sound system. I was disoriented.
Yeah,
and it was only 2 weeks. We're making it sound like we were gone for 4 months.
I know.
But you really get out of your routine very swiftly.
You just put everything out of mind and just get into it.
We did. We really did. That was good.
But hey, before you know it, it'll be warm today. So bring the sunshine with us back here.
That's right.
Today is National Cut the Cord Day.
Cut what cord?
The cable cord.
To the television?
Yeah, they call it National Cut the Cord Day. Just kind of get off the cable. And I think cable is kind of phasing out anyway because a lot of people now are doing the streaming. You don't need the cables. Everything's internet based.
I want my TV where I had to adjust the rabbit ears and get off the couch and change the channel to 2, 4,
what were our
9.
channels? We lived in Central Jersey. 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13.
That was it.
And then UHF.
And I don't even remember what that did.
That was old PBS type of stuff, I think. But that was it. Those are the only channels we had.
And then at midnight.
Yeah, right. I was watching a documentary on Bob Newhart, who's a good Catholic man. He still practices his faith. Old, he's old, 90-something now. Looks like he's 90-something. But it was a documentary about his friendship with Don Rickles. They were best friends, and they and their wives would vacation together. For years and years and years. But someone asked him in the documentary, because Bob Newhart had 2 very successful situation comedies back in the 70s and 80s. Why don't we see good situation comedies anymore? And he said, and it makes a good point, everything is so spread out. There used to be just 3 networks, and everything was condensed. You got the best of the best writers and actors. But now there's so many, it's all spread out. You don't get the cream of the crop anymore.
No.
And
You have to find it.
You have to find it.
And you have to scroll through 600 channels to find
Right,
something.
exactly. If you can find it, it's just. But it was a very good point. There's just so much saturation of programming. Oh, I mean,
Because everybody's program can get on there because there's so many hours to fill
Right, and
and
it's-
so many channels to fill.
and it's internet based. Anybody can have a streaming channel, video channel.
Right.
So it's just. But I thought that was interesting. It was an interesting point how it's so spread out. So today is cut the cord day. So you just cut out your cable TV.
I could imagine that being almost connected to Lent, like pull the plug.
Well, a lot of people do that. They get off social media, or they just put their only like certain amount of time per day
Right.
on the phone. Hard thing to do though these days because
Very
everything
hard.
is on the phone.
That's true.
So
like
to
I
give it up
try
for
to
Lent,
put it down, but then I have to check in with work. I have to, contact a bride. I work through my phone.
Right.
But I don't have to sit and scroll through nonsensical
No.
ads and articles.
No, like I know people who got off Facebook for Lent.
Right.
Just okay, I'm done with Facebook for the next 6 weeks, and then you get into the habit, and you can stay off of it. So things like that, opportunities for Lent that you can give things up. But that's a big one. Trying to get off of social
It's
media.
such a time waster.
It is.
For a good portion of my time. This is just a personal thing. But I heard an excellent homily on Sunday, and it was just that. Try it. Test yourself. Challenge yourself. It's not going to be easy because we are so attached to those little instruments. And he said, and it was a homily to young people. They're getting ready for confirmation, and Lent is around the corner. What can you do? Put the phone down.
Yeah.
Connect with someone face to face. Have a conversation.
Well, not easy, but now speaking of good homilies, when we were in Arizona and we went to the monastery there, Our Lady of Solitude, and there was a priest who was the celebrant for Sunday Mass, and we were very, 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 very good preacher. And I said, this guy's got to be from Jersey, the way he was talking.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to catch up with him that day, but I did email the nuns later, and I said, who was the priest who said Mass on Sunday? And they sent me some information. And his name was Father Stephen Imbarata, and I found his website. He's very pro-life, active for many years. And I emailed him, and I said, would you like to come on the show? Because I thought he was just a good, and so he did. We actually had a chat this week, and
Was he originally from New Jersey?
Bergenfield.
Okay, North Jersey.
Yeah, North Bergen County. And so next week we're going to have it for the 5 programs we have in Lent. Father Stephen Imbarata is going to come and do a little 15-minute teaching with us.
And maybe people want to look him up ahead of time. How do you spell the last name?
It's Imbarrata, Imbarata. Imbarata. But he has a website. I don't know it off the top of my head.
And now he's kind of retired, I guess you could say, but that doesn't mean too much anymore. When people retire, they're very busy, they're very active.
But he was out there for a whole month at the monastery.
Right. So it's
He
not
was doing
like
daily
he's-
mass and adoration. I mean, he was doing the whole.
Yeah.
And he said, and I the name didn't sound familiar, but he said he's done many, many masses at EWTN. So, but very good. So he'll join us next week for one of our segments here and
I
throughout
wondered,
Lent.
so his podcast or whatever you call that, we watch some of his talks or just
He
on
has
his
his
website.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
And he does a daily radio program on the Station of the Cross, another EWTN affiliate. Every day at 4:00, he does a program with another gentleman, a pro-life program
For that local Catholic
for the local,
radio.
local
Okay.
Catholic station. He lives in Florida, but
Yeah.
the Station of the Cross is up in North New York,
Oh, my.
upstate New York.
See, there's a good part to technology as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Otherwise, we couldn't have all this at
No,
our fingertips.
no.
But he was so just
Very animated and well-spoken and passionate.
captivating,
Yeah,
and it's a good message, and
Yeah.
explained himself very well, and applied it to how we can apply things to our daily life. And it was just very well organized.
Yeah. And I said, I knew right away. I said, this priest has got to be from Jersey.
Like
Just
an
the way he
idea.
was talking. He said idea. Yeah, I had a good idea. I said, that's Jersey. That's North Jersey. But Bergenfield. And then I said, I grew up, the first 10 years of my life, I said, I grew up in Bogota, in Bergen County. Oh, I know. I said St. Joe's. He goes, oh, yeah, yeah. He said, he got hurt in the St. Joe's gym. He said, playing basketball or something. First he said, do they have an auditorium with a stage there, I think, in the school. I said, I was only there until I was 10, so I don't really remember that. But he said, yeah, he broke his foot or broke his hand or something in playing basketball there. But anyway, he'll be with us next week, so look forward to that and his Lenten series.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
So now this coming Wednesday, of course, is Ash Wednesday, a holy day of obligation, but certainly we hope that you will go get your ashes. It is also Valentine's Day.
Yes, and you can't have Valentine without Lent.
Yeah,
so spell it, write it slowly, and you'll see Lent is right in the middle.
And no dispensation whatsoever.
No, for Ash Wednesday, there's no dispensation.
Like Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, you can't get dispensation at all. There's no, don't even ask. If it's St. Patrick's Day on a Friday in March, March 17th falls on a Friday in Lent, the bishops usually say, okay, go ahead. And but you can't do that with Ash Wednesday or Good Friday. So
this weekend is the time to celebrate, and how beautiful that could be. It's World Marriage Day.
And it's also Super Bowl Sunday, I think. Isn't the Super Bowl this weekend?
I'm not connected to that at all.
I believe it is.
I'm clueless.
Yeah, I only know it because, the quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, his last name is Purdy, P-U-R-D-Y. There was a story on him when we were out west because he's from Glendale,
yes,
Arizona, or Chandler, or one of those little towns around Phoenix, a suburb. Mm-hmm. And he's been, before leading up to the Super Bowl, they give these press conferences, and he is very outspoken about his Christianity, saying that Christ comes first in my life, not football. And so I got to root for the 49ers, I suppose. Mm-hmm. The quarterback is a good Christian man. I don't believe he's Catholic, but he's a good Christian man and very vocal about his faith.
And that grabs your attention because these people that are in the limelight, they're looked at, frontline stars.
Yeah.
They're usually...
So, but yeah, he there was a story on him when we were out there, and it wasn't about his Christianity, but that's how I knew that. But then I've since read. Also, I got something in email yesterday. We'll try to get somebody on. They're looking for interview opportunities. Cabrini.
The movie.
Yeah, the movie.
Wonderful.
And by that Angel Studios, which I didn't know.
Are they that do Chosen?
Yeah. Angel Studios. Anyway, they sent me an email looking for, if you want to interview either the producer or the director. So I wrote back. I haven't heard back from them, but that movie is coming out about Mother Cabrini.
I know Angel Studios did Sound of Freedom.
That's right, and the same guy, same director.
Explosively successful.
Yeah, the same director directed Cabrini. So that's interesting that film about, and they're not even a Catholic organization to do a film on Mother Cabrini.
Mother Cabrini. Let's have them on.
I wrote back. I'm waiting to hear back. And then I will bring it up. My grandparents lived in Little Italy the same time Mother Cabrini was there. I don't know if they knew her, but this is that whole Italian section of New York City. Mm-hmm. That's where she was originally. Came over and catered and ministered to the Italians.
Well, I'm always looking for a good film to see, and they are few and far between.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I would be interested in that.
So that's coming out March 8th. And then there was something else. Oh, well, The Chosen is in the theaters now.
Yes.
They're not streaming yet.
No.
They're only in the movie theater now.
But it's 2 episodes back to back, and
but then they're eventually I did. You don't want to pay the money to go to the theater. I don't know what a movie costs these days or what they're charging to get in.
Well, I did go to a movie the other day. It was depressing, and then I was surprised when I went because it was captions,
subtitles.
Subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in German, which was fine because I understood some of the words. I took 4 years of German and used it for a little while. So I was able to catch some phrases, but you find you're not really watching, you're reading the subtitles. Mm-hmm. And it was about World War II and the Holocaust and that. But I'm glad I went to see it. But so I said it was a senior ticket. It was $8.99. But I think normally you could pay $12 or $15 for a theater ticket.
Yeah. So they're doing that with their entire fourth season. They're putting it in the theaters first and then put it on TV.
There's something about watching something on the giant screen. I mean, I do love that.
Yeah, but to me, I felt like you brought people in by putting it on their TV screen, and then. But
now
anyway,
we want to make more money.
I thought it was
put it in the theater.
Because there will be older people who won't go out, and who maybe were enjoying it. It's like they are eventually going to put it on streaming.
So then
video,
we're patient and we wait.
I don't know what this even see. I guess we did season 3.
I think we saw all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think we binged on that last year.
We did binge on it. All right. Well, listen, we're going to have Mr. Stephen Nelson join us in a few minutes. He's written a book called the Magdalena Prayer Book. So we'll bring Stephen on, and we'll take a quick break, friends, and just stay right where you are. Be right back with Stephen Nelson. Don't go away. Well, welcome back, friends, and happy you are here with us today on this lovely February 9th, 2024. Stephen Nelson is the president and co-founder of Gaudent Angeli, a Catholic apostolate, a nonprofit organization dedicated to rekindling devotion to Saint Vibiana, the hidden patroness of Los Angeles. He's a convert to Catholicism, lives in Southern California with his wife and 6 children, And he's written a brand new book called The Magdalena Prayer Book. And we want to welcome to the program Stephen Nelson. Welcome, Stephen.
Hi, thanks for having me aboard.
Well, you sound like you might have an interesting even backstory here. We'll get to the book in a moment, but I'm so curious as a convert to the faith, number one, but I've never heard of Saint Vibiana.
Yeah, few people have, even in the geographic boundaries of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. She's a ancient Roman martyr. She died in the 3rd century. She's not Vibiana of the 4th century, which we all know about, who has her feast day on December 2nd. This one's a little bit more hidden. She was discovered in the 1800s by excavation team commissioned by Blessed Pius IX, and eventually found her way to California shores and became the principal patroness of most of California and then Los Angeles. Yeah, her ancient remains are currently interred in the new Cathedral of Los Angeles, but she originally had a cathedral constructed in her honor just a couple blocks south of that same cathedral, which still stands today, though it is now decommissioned as a venue for secular events. But yeah, so many people have forgotten about her. I'm trying to get her name back into everyone's hearts and on everyone's lips, especially in Los Angeles. But we also work on these other devotions and kind of sneak St. Vibiana in there to expand her reach beyond Los Angeles. That's why I'm here.
Do people pray to her for a certain, virtue, or did she have a specific gift or
Charism.
offering? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. We don't know a whole lot about her. In fact, the longest writing about her life were the words etched on her sarcophagus when they were found, and those words were, "To the soul of the innocent and modest Vibiana, laid to rest on the eve of September 1st." That's her hagiography. That's the sainted writing, the writing of her sainted life. That's all we have. Many people kind of shun at that because, it's Los Angeles. We're, the city on the hill. It's the city of lights. And she doesn't really have a story. She doesn't really have a legend. But in the view of my co-founders and I, that's her most important story, her hiddenness, her modesty, her innocence, and the fact that she's so small and it was given to a city that thinks itself to be so big.
Yes, there's something to be said about that. And my goodness, we need all the saints we can get to pray to and pray with and pray for. So that's beautiful.
Amen.
So that enlightened me today.
Great.
Well, we'll talk about the book, the Magdalena Prayer Book. And again, friends, we're talking with Stephen Nelson, who has compiled this. So tell us a little bit about how this came to be, the Magdalena Prayer Book, Stephen. As a convert, I'm very intrigued, even to be going into the depth of being so devoted to a particular saint and all this that you're putting together. You must have really had some conversion.
Well, yeah, I converted from Protestant Christianity. Met my wife in 2005, and we were both. She was a lapsed Catholic. I was a Protestant, and as we grew together in our courtship, we started wondering, is there anything else out there? Is there anything more in terms of traditionalism, orthodoxy that we can kind of latch onto? And we came full circle back to the Catholic faith right before we got married. We were able to get married in the church. But yeah, for us, what really kind of drew us back home were, the authority of the church, the God-given authority of the church, and that being very clear, within her 4 marks, and the devotion to our Blessed Mother. The Catholic faith, the Orthodox have this too, and even maybe some Protestant sects. But really, the Catholic faith has this indelible, beautiful, everlasting tapestry of words to say and images to draw and write about who Mary is, and that just kind of unlocked, as it always does, unlocked with the fullest potential our love for Jesus Christ and the Blessed Trinity. So that really drew us, and then years passed, and 2020 hit us all in a variety of ways for a really particular reason I won't mention to say. But, during that year, it was right around the time when I was working with my co-founders to spin up this apostolate. Our churches got shut. Our sacraments became 100% scarce for pretty much the whole United States. And most of what was coming to us through the virtual pulpits of YouTube and whatnot, from our priests and our bishops, God bless them, were the words, seek perfect contrition, seek spiritual communions. We all remember watching like private masses and having that frame pop up on the screen saying, now make a spiritual communion.
Mm-hmm.
People were kind of like dropped into that, without really knowing what the church teaches about both those things. So we started putting this book together, my apostolate, and it relates to Saint Bibiana because, she's a lost devotion, and in many respects, perfect contrition and spiritual communion are lost devotions too. And so using St. Mary Magdalene as our model for these prayers that we put together, which is really just a curation of the church's prayers, and the Council of Trent, we built this framework and built this book around it. And of course, with all of our publications, it might be explicitly calling for devotion to St. Bibiana, but also she might be hidden in the pages, which she is in this book.
Can you give us a little background on the difference between perfect and imperfect contrition?
Yeah, so the Council of Trent talks about this in the way of what our ends are. What's our purpose in having contrition? Of course, contrition itself is sorrow and detestation for sins committed with the purpose of sinning no more. If it's perfect, you can kind of unpack this via the act of contrition that the church has given us. If it's perfect, it is for the sake of God. It's we are sorry because thou art all good and deserving of all my love. If it's imperfect, and of course we pray that every time we make a good confession, even if we don't have perfect contrition necessarily, we still act on it, we still ask for it. Imperfect contrition, which is also sufficient for the sacrament, is sorrow and detestation for sins because you're just fearful about going to hell. You don't want to go to hell. For the sacrament, that works. It gets the job done and makes the sacrament happen. But for perfect contrition, it requires that our hearts are moved to love and for having sorrow because he is all good and deserving of our love. So that itself is a grace. It's a movement of grace. It's not something we can do by our own means. But perfect contrition can be sought by prayer, and we can kind of create the conditions for it in our soul by kind of following this framework that the book lays out.
What is the format of the book, Stephen? We say it's called the Magdalena Prayer Book. Is it a series of prayers, or is it exercises that people can practice throughout their day or week? Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a review copy of the book.
Yeah, so the Council of Trent kind of puts together this anatomy of perfect contrition. If you follow perfect contrition as a theme throughout its writings, you can detect this anatomy, the structure that perfect contrition has. And so we use that structure, sectional titles for each section of the book and our kind of thematic sections. So each theme is one of the kind of anatomical, structural elements of perfect contrition, and then we curated prayers that follow those themes. So I'll kind of list them off for you, and you can kind of see where I'm going at. So the first part of perfect contrition, the first part of the anatomy of it is love of God. The second part is hatred of sin and necessity of sorrow. The third part, intention to confess and satisfy. The fourth part, the will to amend. And the fifth part, confidence in divine mercy. We also have this section on spiritual communion. But those 5 sections contain prayers to various penitential saints that fit that theme, prayers of the church that fit that theme, and also one or more of the 7 penitential psalms found in sacred scripture, which also align to these themes. So like the first theme, love of God, you'll find the 4th penitential psalm, the Miserere Dei. And then with each other theme, with each other section, you'll find a new variety of prayers and the penitential psalms. Is that making sense? Does that make sense?
It does. And my goodness, what keeps lighting up on my brain is how perfect with Lent just right around the corner. And you mentioned Divine Mercy. We're looking ahead to April 7th. And forgiveness and mercy. This is going to be, I think, a wonderful companion. I do have a question, though, so as you brought up the, those few years or at least several months when we weren't able to go to church and that would pop up on our tablet, our screen, that you could at this point make spiritual communion. During that time, and I certainly pray that we never have to go through anything like that again, what if we couldn't actually get to confession? So if we can't physically partake in the whole communion, but what if you can't get to confession physically? Is there such a thing as a spiritual confession?
Yes and no. So we want to be a little careful here because the sacrament of confession, instituted by our Lord, is a very specific, very perfect gift for solving the problem of mortal sin, especially in deliberate venial sins. However, if there's no sacramental minister around, or even like if our sacraments are delayed, if our confession is delayed, maybe not for months, but maybe even a day, we're still called by God and the church to do what we can with what we've got. And what makes it really clear, there's this quote from the Council of Trent, which says, "Since God is most desirous of our salvation, he will not delay to pardon us. With a father's fondness, he embraces the sinner the moment he enters into himself, turns to the Lord, having detested all of his sins, resolves that later, as far as he is able, he will carry them single-mindedly to the confessional. The Almighty himself, by the mouth of the prophet, commands us to hope. He says, 'The wickedness of the wicked shall not hurt him in what day soever he shall turn from his wickedness.'" So while we have this time, between now and our next confession, if we find ourselves in the unfortunate state of mortal sin, we need to strive after perfect contrition, because we don't know if we're going to live another day. We're not promised another minute beyond right now.
Right.
So we need to pray and seek perfect contrition, which is the heart of this book, really. The heart of the Magdalena Prayer Book is giving you those prayers following the Council of Trent that we believe will cultivate perfect contrition in your souls if it pleases God. Well, of course, if we have time and opportunity, we must get to the confessional, and we must get to the confessional before receiving Holy Communion again, if of course, we're in an unfortunate state of mortal sin.
Understood. And then that would bring us to trying to create a habit of frequently examining our conscience. As you said, we don't know that we're going to have the next minute or the next hour or the next day.
Yes, exactly. And evoking contrition, the best way to do that is to frequently examine your conscience.
That's, to me, I kind of discovered this. I've always enjoyed the Liturgy of the Hours, and I've always enjoyed morning and evening prayer. But a number of years ago, when I really began to do the night prayer, which is beautiful because there is a penitential rite in that prayer before you retire, and also an examination of conscience. And it kind of gets you into that habit of going over your day and your faults and your failings and your fallings, and asking for God's mercy before you retire. It's a beautiful, beautiful prayer, and I would highly encourage a lot of people to really get into that habit of night prayer, because it does include all of this. Magdalena Prayer Book, and we were talking with the author. It's published by Sophia Institute Press, and their address is sophiainstitute.com, the Magdalena Prayer Book. And Stephen, let our listeners know if they want to find out more about Saint Vibiana, how they can do it. Is there a website or something they can go to?
Yeah. Our website, it's pretty minimal right now, but you can go to gaudentangeli.com. That's Gaudent spelled like Gaudete Sunday, GAUDENT ANGELI, gaudentangeli.com. You can sign up for our newsletter there, where we every liturgical season will send an update around of what we're doing. Lots of our work is not digital; it's boots on the ground. It's distributing holy cards. It's distributing the prayer book that we put together for her. Also getting sacred art commissioned and established in various churches throughout the archdiocese. Because that's the other thing, she's so hidden and so her memory has been so forgotten that you can barely find sacred art depicting her anywhere in the archdiocese. You can probably find one in a museum, but otherwise, she's so tucked away that one of our goals is we need to get her kind of front and center at every parish possible. So I'd say sign up if you're interested in hearing more about her. We tend to give updates and talk about what devotion to her means and what her story is. But also, if you're ever in Los Angeles, come to her cathedral and visit her relics. The biggest achievement we can have with this apostolate is to unlock her powerful patronage, and you can only do that by asking for it. So if you're in the area, or if you have people in the area, or if you've been formerly in Angelino and you're now outside of California, she's your patroness too. So seek her prayers.
This is beautiful. My goodness, keep up the great work.
Is that the former Crystal Cathedral that is the cathedral now? Or is that I'm mistaken?
No, that's the Cathedral of Our Lady of the Angels in downtown LA.
Oh, downtown. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right.
She's in the mausoleum basement of that cathedral.
All right. Well,
we're
Stephen
just going to have to
Nelson,
go.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And stage rise. It's still raining out there. I know you had some pretty bad storms we heard about.
It's been bad.
Yeah.
It's cleared up today.
Okay, wonderful. We'll pray for all those people who are suffering from that deluge. Stephen Nelson, thank you very much. Again, friends, the book is called The Magdalena Prayer Book. It's published by Sophia Institute Press, sophiainstitute.com. And we want to thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you. And friends, you stay where you are. There's more to come. Be right back. Don't go away.
It started like it does for many people, question my faith and question authority. And I feel that the reason why I left was the draw of the world. The world was pulling me away. Some people would say, Satan was working on me. He did not want me in church. He wanted me to be desperate. He wanted me to have the thoughts of suicide. I started to realize that a lot of the things that I had experienced in my life were a result of my rebellion against God and against authority. Coming back to the church is the first step in healing from all of the hurts of the world. I went from being desperate and in despair to finding hope and encouragement for the future. I'm on God's team. I know who I belong to. And I know where I'm going, and there's nothing that can separate me from God's love.
Take another look at the Catholic Church. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
Hello, I'm Bishop David O'Connell, the Bishop of the Diocese of Trenton, and this is a Eucharistic moment. Pope Benedict XVI wrote, "In the Eucharist, the Son of God comes to meet us and desires to become one with us." Eucharistic adoration is simply the natural consequence of the Eucharistic celebration, which is itself the Church's supreme act of adoration. Receiving the Eucharist means adoring Him whom we receive. Only in this way do we become one with Him and are given, as it were, a foretaste of the beauty of the heavenly liturgy. The act of adoration outside Mass prolongs and intensifies all that takes place during the liturgical celebration. In a world where there is so much noise, so much bewilderment, there is a need for silent adoration of Jesus concealed in the host. Be assiduous in the prayer of adoration and teach it to the faithful. It is a source of comfort and light, particularly to those who are suffering.
Bishop Robert Barron on the priesthood.
I'm kind of a teacher by nature. I always have been. I've always loved books and ideas and life of the mind and speaking and all that. So I brought that into the priesthood. A very wise thing was said a long time ago, namely that if God chose you to be a priest, He chose you to be a priest, meaning He chose you with your particular gifts and what you're going to bring. So you don't leave that behind. On the contrary, God chose me with these particular gifts. So I've always discerned that teaching and writing and preaching and proclaiming would be a key part of it. And it has been. I found great joy in that. I've always found joy in the pastoral work. I did it when I was newly ordained. I was in a parish for 4 years. And whenever I would go to a hospital, I go to a nursing home, go into the school, counsel, engage couples. I always found great joy in that, even though it's challenging.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
What have you done for your marriage today?
I gave a huge hug this morning, like a really big squeeze.
She got a really short haircut that she hated, and I wrote her a note and put it up on the mirror saying that she was a cute girl with cute hair.
I got him mustard and mayonnaise for his sandwich when we were having lunch.
Today we've actually organized a date night tonight.
And silverware and napkins. Wasn't that wonderful?
What have I done for my marriage today?
Wow, that is a great question.
I took the baby while she worked.
I suppose I didn't yell at him for anything at all.
I got up with the baby while he slept.
Yeah.
I've carried my wife's purse.
What have you done for your marriage today?
What have I done?
I listened to my wife when we talked on the telephone today.
Well, I've done today what I usually do, and that is obey.
She really likes it when I listen.
What have you done for your marriage today? Little things can make a big difference. For ideas, go to foryourmarriage.org. A message from the Catholic Church.
This is World Marriage Week, isn't it? Didn't it start yesterday?
Is it a week or a day?
Well, there's a day, but I think there's a whole week of world marriage. We should look it up. Although every day for us is World Marriage Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So I wore my Valentine red today.
I had my Valentine pink on.
See that? And I had a lovely little Valentine choir party last night as our first gathering looking ahead to the new semester. So it was like a thank you for a wonderful Christmas. Happy Valentine's Day, Mardi Gras, all that. We had sweets and treats and a little bit of wine. It was a festive. I thought next week we crack the whip.
And, of course, our tradition is on Fat Tuesday, we get our annual calzones.
That's right. And I believe Father John Butler has picked up our annual
He
tradition.
did last year.
He
did last year. I know this year.
So
I
a
know.
reminder, Father, although...
He might be on a restricted diet this year. We'll see, but we'll see. I'm
and
sure
you
we'll
do
hear from him.
something crazy. You cut it in half and put half immediately in the freezer.
That's right, and I have it on Holy Saturday.
I think that's great.
I thought out on Holy Saturday to conclude my Lent with the other half of my calzone.
To make no mention of the prayer books and other such items you partake in during Lent.
And I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be doing spiritually for Lent. I got to make that decision. I got to.
So you have some time to ponder that.
The Holy Father's message for Lent this year is I can't think of the exact title. It's about going out in the desert. So maybe we need to go back to the desert.
Well, there you go. I have to say, I think I sent you that picture. Now it's not in my phone, but it was the license plate. I was going back to church, going back to work, my very first time reporting after being gone. And it was like, take a VAC, like TK-A-VAC, like take a vacation.
Or
So
take a vacuum.
Oh, yeah, maybe they're vacuum specialists. I interpret it as take a vacation.
All right. Well,
All
so
right, then.
a lot happening till we see you again next week. Going to be the Super Bowl on Sunday and Fat Tuesday and Ash Wednesday and all kinds of stuff. So we'll be back, but next week, Friday.
And even this weekend, National, what is it, healing masses and World Day of the Sick. And marriage celebration. So all sorts of things. Check your parish calendar for something to do.
That's right. So thanks for being with us today. We appreciate it, and we look forward to being with you again next week, God willing.
God bless you.
God bless you.